I was so ashamed of who I was before. I had wonderful friends back in California, both in San Francisco and LA and like in Utah, like all the places that I've lived in. They've always made me feel special on my birthday. But for whatever reason, like I just hated celebrating myself on that day. I didn't really feel it in my bones yet until like I moved here and like there is a reason why it's like to celebrate with the people that you love.
You kind of owe it to yourself to know who's really in your corner. So that's something I feel like I learned from you. I love to deal with my pain in private, but sometimes it's actually better to bring your friends into it and give them a chance to show up for you and give you a chance to know that people do actually care about you.
It's up to you to have the moral compass and kind of discern who should be in your corner versus who should not be in your corner. And I think that's just like life, right?
And you have to show up and then people can meet you where you're at. Sometimes you need to be the friend first, right?
You're gonna have so many misses like on dinners or like on random outings and just be like, wow, this sucks. But you're bound to meet someone. Don't let the fear of striking out let you not play the game.
Spencer Norawong, thank you so much for being on Becoming You. It's amazing to have you here.
What's up? So glad to be here.
Yeah, and I love your energy already. It's so consistent from the first day I met you, almost a year, over a year ago now, almost a year and a half, I was going to say. We're both transplants to Florida, so we met here in the Sunshine State.
Yeah, never look back. I actually like, came from California to here, Orange County to Orange County. So it could
Oh,
be
see?
good one for one. Yeah.
We love one OC to the other.
Right, right. Keeping it easy.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. And it's so funny. You mentioned that to me the other day. And I always forget we're in Orange County in Florida because, we live in Orlando. Orlando's a big blob on the map.
Yeah.
And it seems to just kind of continue to extend itself, almost like quicksand or something. It has a huge footprint, basically, right? So the theme parks is what everyone thinks about. But even that's 30 minutes from me. So it's not like, depending on where you live, it might not be in your backyard.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I first moved to Florida, I didn't really know a lot about like the area that I live in now, like more towards like the downtown area. And I'm like, that is totally different from like what Disney is. So
Yeah.
if people are hating on Orlando, specifically like Orlando, Florida, I feel like the biggest thing is just you have to explore downtown. There's like so many cool and awesome like pockets and places here that is more than just a theme park. So that's my little plug for Orlando.
Exactly. No, I love that. And had I not already been living here for a couple years, I would have loved hearing that information because when I first moved to Orlando, I was like, what am I doing here? But
Yeah.
eventually, like you said, you discover these pockets and you explore them and you really learn to love the area. I mean, there's so much to do, so much good food, and so many great people, which of course has led me to meeting you and now having you on the show, which is so, so
Oh,
cool. Yes.
little heart.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually met through basically an app called Time Left. I found out about it from Instagram ads, as you do these days. And building community has always been such a big deal to me. It's like kind of a huge component of even my personal brand and the podcast itself, but just how I live my life. I love meeting new people, expanding my network, and seeing who I can connect to one another, but also what can I learn from this person? So time left was just one of many ways that I've tried to go out of my way to meet new people. And luckily from that experience, I met you and then we hung out outside of time left and, built our friendship over the last, year plus. So we're new to each other's lives, but we bonded over some significant things very early on. So we knew like, okay, I see you, you see me.
Right, right. I think like something that I love that we have talked about in our like countless conversations is like how hard it is to like make friends when you're like in your 30s and like post college, right? So I think, yeah, kind of like you, I'm not like an introvert per se, but I have introverted tendencies. So I think just like putting myself in spaces where like it matters and like you're able to, feel safe with another person or like connect on like a various like belief systems and like stuff that's like definitely needed. And I think like one thing that I learned from you is like it's not just about one event, it's like the effort that you put in after the event. Because yeah, we met through time left, but it could have been so easy to just be like, hey, we're gonna go our separate ways. But I think like following up and actually like making plans and just saying like screw it, like I'm like even though I'm gonna tell this story because I need to, right?
Yeah,
Like,
go ahead.
we met on a Thursday. It's a time left dinner where you meet like 6 other strangers have dinner. you go to this happy hour after and you kind of meet like a whole bunch of tables that essentially did the same thing. And that's where I met Katrina. But I think the thing that I loved about our conversation was just like you were really wanting to, have a good impression and like also like not only just like meet people just for the sake of meeting, it was just like you're actually looking for connections. So then we had this crazy idea to go see the manatees on Saturday,
Yeah.
in Blue Springs. Was it Blue Springs or
Yeah, Blue
yeah.
Springs National Park. I don't know if it's national or not, but yeah, it's some sort of wilderness park.
Yeah, it was like something really cool. And I've always wanted to do that, but never had anyone to go with. And, on a whim, I just said yes. We woke up at like 6 in the morning to like go meet these manatees. And I think just having this like walk too, like just, there was a group of like 6 or 7. No, there was like 8 of us that went,
There
right?
were like 15 maybe that we pulled together from like time left or pockets of, Orlando. And then the bigger group was like 30 or 40 because I knew that group through Meetup, another app for meeting people over, like-minded people through different hobbies. And they were already organizing this hike.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met you, I met a bunch of other people, and I thought about some friends I had met through Bumble BFF, yet
Oh,
another app. So I'm like plugged in everywhere and I'm like, hey, the more the merrier, let's all go.
yeah, and I think because of that, like, we got more one-on-one time, like, we were able to, like, not talk, like, at a bar, like, actually, like, go do a wholesome activity, so
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like the night just, like or the day, I guess, kept continuing,
It
continuing so
did.
well until we got, like
Yeah, right. It was such a glimpse into how I live my life every day. And I loved that you were so on board with just like, okay, let's go do it, right? Like, let's go to lunch, let's go to Universal, let's watch this concert now. like,
right,
and it was all within 24 hours. And it just felt like, how is this possible? But it was so fun too. There's something about living in Florida. This was what? February, maybe March. Like,
yeah,
normally that's a winter month and you're probably not going out because you're in your hibernation mode. You want to stay home on the couch. In
right,
Florida, you don't really have that option or luxury to just like hibernate for 3 months. It's always an option to go outside here. The sun is shining. We have the most sunny days. And so it's good because you can always push yourself out of your comfort zone and do different things. And at the same time, it's like such a gift because it's not always the case everywhere else. So even if you don't want to push yourself, maybe you do just because you know what a privilege it is.
100%, and I think, like, that's also just something that was so new to me because, like, usually in winter, it's just like, "Ah, I'm gonna be a hermit," and then, like, come May, it's like, "Okay, I'm outside," but it's like no, Orlando is very much like you're always outside, and if you don't have an activity to do on the weekend, like, what are you doing with your life,
Right. What are
So
you doing?
right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No.
that's how we met, and,
Yeah.
we've built our bond ever since.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I love how you spoke about the intentionality of the follow through, right? It's not enough just to say as adults, "Oh yeah, we should do this again sometime," with no follow through because then it does become really hollow and shallow and this is why it gets such a bad rap when adults are like it's so hard to make friends. Sometimes you need to be the friend first, right? And you have to show up and then people can meet you where you're at. Or if they're not reciprocating, then maybe that's not a good or the type of friend that you want, but that's your choice to make at the end of the day. So there's a lot of nuances to adult friendship, but it's definitely worthwhile when you find reciprocal investments.
100%, and I think, like It it almost like I've heard this story or this, like, mentality where it's like you need to go like, the fear of striking what is the quote? Like, "Don't let the fear of striking out, let you not play the game." Something along
Mm, I
that
love that.
moral
Okay. Yep.
story, but,
Yeah.
um but yeah, it's just like, you're gonna have so many misses, like, on dinners or, like, on random outings and just be like, "Wow, this sucks," but you're bound to meet someone, and I think, like, that was, like, my 3rd time doing no, 2nd or 3rd time doing time left, and if I didn't go that night, I don't think we would have met, so
Yeah, and that was my first and only, it was one and done. I was like, "I met Spencer, I'm good, thank you."
yeah, check, check, check.
Yeah, exactly, but it was awesome, and even through knowing you, I have grown so much, and I've seen you grow so much, and I know it's crazy to make comments like that 12 months, 18 months into knowing someone, but it's so true too. Like for me specifically, I've grown with vulnerability and accountability of not leaning into my avoidant tendencies, right? Like I love to deal with my pain in private. But sometimes it's actually better to bring your friends into it and give them a chance to show up for you and give you a chance to know that people do actually care about you. But they aren't mind readers, and you kind of owe it to yourself to know who's really in your corner. So that's something I feel like I learned from you. And then something I've seen you grow through, if I may. Like, I know your birthday from past years was a whole different story for you. And when you moved to Florida, you were like, I'm not really big on my birthday. And I had met you like almost right after your birthday. So I was like, wait, we need to redo your birthday, a little belated thing, but we're going to do it. Right. So a bunch of us like went out of our way to make you feel, at least in our minds, like so special. And really great ideas from everyone in the group, to just reach out to your community back home, get letters written for you, like just very sentimental. And then this year, I know you had like 2 or 3 parties for your birthday. And I was like, hell yes, like that's what we need to see. Spencer getting celebrated, it's just huge.
I think, like, that's something that I learned from you almost. It's just, like, I was so ashamed of who I was before, and we could dive more deeper into that, but just, like, the high level was just, like, I had wonderful friends back in California, both in San Francisco and LA and, like, in Utah, like, all the places that I've lived in. They've always made me feel special on my birthday, but for whatever reason, like, I just hated celebrating myself on that day, and just, I think moving here, like, I'm just like, no, like, there is a reason why it's like to celebrate with the people that you love. And it's
Hmm.
not just about me, but it's just like looking back on like the past year that you've done and just like celebrating life again. And I know that's like so stupid because that is literally the definition of a birthday, but I didn't really feel it in my bones yet until like I moved here. And like, honestly, that day, I think it was like March or some random day in March. You guys literally, like, contact exactly what you said. You contacted all my best people and was like, "How do you even know all these people I've never really, like,
Yeah.
talked about, but you guys, like, knew?" Because literally we met each other, like, a month after like, month before that, and I was just like, "Oh, these are, like, lifelong friends, and, like, these are people that mean the world to me, and they're thinking about me on my special day." So, um, it just like you said, like, giving the chance for people to prove themselves and how they react in certain, like, friendship and relationships is definitely something that um, I definitely believe in because, I do believe there are good people and there that people do want to do good things. Of course, you have those, like, crazy psychopaths that, like, wanna tear you down and, like, that's not cute, but
Right. We don't love that,
we
but we'll
don't,
hold
we
space
don't.
for it over there.
Right, but it's like, it's up to you to have the moral compass and kind of discern who should be in your corner versus who should not be in your corner, and I think that's just, like, life, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, and I love that, like a compass for what you wanna tolerate and how you wanna show up, because everyone says, like, the top 5 people you surround yourself with, that's who you're gonna turn into, right? So it's always good to kinda take inventory and stock of who's in my life, and whether it's actual people or it's the entertainment that you're relying on or it's the hobbies you have, like, are these 5 things and people really what you wanna become? Because if not, maybe you need to make some changes, you know?
Right.
But it can be a difficult question to ask, and some people don't know to ask it, and they just kinda go on autopilot through life, and they feel like, "Well, it is what it is, and this is how it's always been, so this is how it will always be," and that's just not true.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, why I've found so much power in our friendship because I think, like, moving out here to Orlando, I didn't really have, like, an agenda. I was just like, "I need to get the heck out of LA." Like, it was not good for me, but I don't know what is in Florida, but I need to discover something there, and I think exactly that point, like, of just asking me myself that question of, like, "Who do I wanna surround myself with?"
Mhm.
and stick to that and, follow through with that. That's, like, what I've always, like, kind of kept at the back of my head ever since, like, we met each other. So,
Yeah. No, I
thank you
love
for teaching
that.
me that.
Oh, my pleasure, Spence. I love that you're just, like, implementing all this stuff even on your own, because in life, all you have is yourself. So even though I can make like a little bit of an impact here and there, it's really you who's doing all of the work 24/7. Every time you wake up, whenever you go to sleep, like you're making those choices. So it's completely up to you. And I love that you've been running with it. I did hear you say something a few minutes ago about shame and kind of carrying shame with you. And I know, as someone who also basically came from a high control religion, which was like the big thing that we bonded over instantly. It was like I just said, "Oh, yeah, I used to be Catholic." You're like, "I used to be Mormon," or however you said it, and we're both like, "Okay, got it." Like, didn't need to say much after that, but it was kind of just like, "Okay." Because it's so much to unpack, and people who haven't gone 110 or 150% devoted to a religion don't really have the impact that, or the negative impact or the side effects that can come from living that way. And shame, even for me, was like one of those big things that as a woman, we're just seen as subordinate. We're meant to be submissive. Our bodies are dirty, like all these different things. So we carry so much shame because we're conditioned to think less of ourselves,
Yeah,
specifically like within a space of religion. And I find it a little interesting. Side note, a little bit of a tangent, but these religions, like I went to a super culty college that is now endorsing, the MAGA movement and the president and even one of their speakers that they have, but they're rejecting what the Pope is saying. And historically, you're meant to follow the Pope if you're following the Roman Catholic faith. And the Pope is supposed to be like from God and a descendant of Peter and all of this stuff, like the pillar of the church. So to have such a divergence, I mean, it really speaks to everything I feel like I already went through, and this is like 15 years ago, and I'm so far removed from it now, and they're still like getting to this point, and it just feels very brainwashy, culty. Like all the things that I felt back then, I somehow feel validated in that now, that this is actually a problem, and it's not just me feeling some type of way. Like I think spirituality is important. I still believe in the universe and we're all connected in energy, but religion and government and all of that used to control, it's not for me anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my religious, like, upbringing and stuff definitely, like, highlights a lot of the feelings and emotions that you definitely experienced too with and I feel like that's where we kind of related and bonded over.
Yeah.
I will say, like, personally right now, I would say, like, I don't really have a negative, like, feeling towards the church or, like, Mormonism or whatever, because I think
Yeah.
in the long run, it did teach me how to become a good person and, like, good values, and just like it gave me like a kick-ass like education too. So I can't really like blame that.
Yeah. And everyone's experience is different, so
Right,
I
right.
want you to feel how you feel and all of that. Yeah.
Right. But on the flip side, I think there was like a lot of, again, shame to like what you were saying of just like belittling, and like if you're not at the certain milestone, like, Mormons, and especially like with the upbringing, like the culture phenomena with like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and like, all these different
Yeah.
things coming out, like all my, non-Mormon friends are asking me like, "Hey, like, is that true? Like, what do you do? Like, what's okay? What's not okay?" And I'm just like, "Okay, like, let's get things out in the open." And they're just like asking questions about, the temple, and like, missions and Mormon, like missionaries, and like what you do on a mission and stuff. And so, a lot of it is just like coming back to me, right? And like, when you're in the moment, like you're kind of just like survival mode at that point. But
Right.
I think just like moving outside of like college, and discovering life as an adult, like that's not related or tied to a religious like sect, like you kind of like like not pick and choose, but like you kind of realize like what resonates with you in terms of like what type of person that you want to be. And in my experience, it never related to like a I need to, Mormons have to abide by the rule of like the whole reason you get married is to have a family and procreate, and like be a faithful father, be a faithful husband, be a faithful, have a faithful wife, and like all these different things that like raise children in the church so that you could like raise an eternal family. Like I love that idea in theory. I just think like with my upbringing and like with my, you know, tendencies that we don't need to go further into that, but just like the way that I feel right now, I feel like that is not something that I necessarily want or need. And
Right.
with the added pressure of the church being like, "Oh, Spencer, like you're 33 and you still don't have a wife. Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, are you infertile? Like, what's wrong with you?" Like people start speculating. And for me personally, like that pressure is just better off just like left in a cabinet somewhere, like locked and forget away, because I'm really happy with my life. And like, my friends who have children, they're really happy with their lives and, that's working for them, and I love their children as if they were my own, So, I think for the most part, I think that life is all about choosing good decisions that help build you up, not because of a religion told you to do that, but because you genuinely feel good that you want to do that thing. That's not really a profound statement, but like I feel like a lot of the times it's like people pressure you to do a certain thing because that's the norm.
Right, right.
It's like, oh, you're gonna throw that all away, and like because you lived in California, like you can't move anywhere else because that's where you built your life. And like for me, I'm just like, no, if you have the inkling to get out, you want to move, do it today. Like make
Exactly.
moves for yourself because no one's gonna help. No one's gonna be your own advocate. No one's gonna be your own advocate more than yourself, right? So I think, yeah, that's like how I kind of learned that like overcoming shame, and I'm still overcoming it every day. Like I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
here and I'm like, F everything, like I'm who I am, but like I feel like a lot of the things that I've learned is just like you can't let a norm justify or organize your life because that doesn't work for everyone, you know?
Right. No, totally. Did you ever see that show, with the hormone monster?
No, what is that?
It's so good,
Yeah,
and it's just popping into my mind now because they had a shame monster or something in the story, but the premise is, like, we all carry around shame, and we're giving shame control over us, right? But half the time, all you need to do is bring whatever it is that's making you feel uncomfortable into the light and kind of let it breathe a little bit, and then you realize it's not so bad, first off, and second, I'm not alone in this. Like, this isn't a unique thing to be ashamed about. And on top of it, half the time it's coming from that inner critic or some other story that you're still telling yourself, but it doesn't belong to you. And it came from someone else or something else that you don't even agree with. So there's
yeah,
a really good, just like exercise, I guess, in moving through your shame by addressing it head on that you can do.
I love that, and I think that's totally true, where you have to acknowledge, like, what you're feeling, and I feel like part of shame is, like, you reject a piece of yourself that is still there, so, yeah, I love that. That's really
Yeah, that is profound, Spencer, because this self rejection and self abandonment is so tough. And then that can even lead to more shame too if you are actively doing that. If you're not advocating for yourself, sometimes you don't feel like you're worth it, and now you're so used to not feeling worth it that you kind of can't get out from underneath yourself.
yeah, it's that toxic cycle, right? And it's just like,
Yeah,
I'm not good
literally.
enough, but because I'm not good enough, I'm a bad person, and it's just like it keeps going over and over again. And I think that's like something that I've currently like am learning and like in Orlando, like I think just exposing myself to like new communities, like you kind of just like feel like, oh shoot, like I am a weirdo. And that is totally in your head, that is totally, that's like not a real thing. But
Yeah.
unless you are a weirdo, then like address it. Like if people are uncomfortable, like obviously like do whatever. But I think for me personally, it's just like I'm not as like weird as I thought I would be, and I think
Fair. Yeah. I think you do have a different idea of maybe how you come across or something than how you actually come across, right? So, like the idea that's in your head of who Spencer is versus who Spencer is to the rest of us, it's almost like two different people sometimes it feels like, And sometimes I'm like, Spencer, you're so cool. Like, why do you have such a inaccurate idea of yourself, At the same time, I don't think it's bad to be weird, and I think weird is fun.
yeah, it's funny because I think that mindset comes from honestly my Mormonism, right? It's just like I'm not a good priesthood holder or like a man of faith. So because I'm not doing keeping God's laws or keeping his rules, like I'm automatically a bad person. So
Yeah,
I'm working through it. It's stuff that,
totally.
is part of the journey of life. And, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. Like I'm really happy that I did it. But,
Right.
it comes with its like price. And
Yeah, it
yeah.
really does. And I appreciate that you mentioned it's kind of like you can pick and choose what you want to believe in now rather than what you grew up being told to believe in. And sometimes I wish it was that simple for me or even some of my friends that I talk with about this because sometimes it feels like they're there's so much deconstruction that has to be done so you can separate all of the decisions that you make because you don't know what's influencing them, especially if you're kind of on autopilot and you're just taking for granted what's important. Like values that are instilled in you from childhood, which happens by the time you're age 8, are going to be there probably the rest of your life in some capacity, even if you're questioning them as you get older. So it's a conscious choice to take it to court, right? And see, do I still believe this? Is this still true? Or is it something I want to continue pursuing now at this stage in my life? Even if you change your mind again down the road, like that part doesn't matter. That's your prerogative. But you don't have to just always do things just because that's how it's always been either.
Yeah, I think, like, I actually learned this from, like, a good church leader back in the day, but he told me, like, never stop questioning. Like, you should always question and never be comfortable with what you believe in, and if I didn't do that, like, I don't think I'd be where I'm at today, and, it's like, he didn't mean it to, like, always be like, "Oh, question it so you could believe more." He's like, "No, you should always question something because you shouldn't follow something blind if you don't believe it." And I really
Yeah.
take that to heart. And not that I don't believe in Mormonism, it's just
Yeah.
I have to take a break for now. Or
Yeah, which is totally fine. In fact, I have an aunt who grew up the same as me, Roman Catholic, and then switched to Mormonism in her, let's say, early 20s. And she's like, diehard Mormon for the rest of her life. Um, but she is single, like never married and stuff. So people talk about that, like, oh, well, you can't get your own planet if you're a single woman in the Mormon faith. Like, why would you want to be part of that? So, of course, it's like a little bit of poking fun, but she does have a very deep spirituality, but a good sense of humor too. And she's, cares about human rights and all this stuff. So it's like a well rounded view of the world. And it's her choice to live this way, feeling alignment with her creator and all of that and leading to whatever, like you said something about like when you're raising kids, it's for like to the beyond or everlasting, something that made me think like it's forever.
yeah, eternal families is what.
Eternal families, yeah, which is a beautiful concept to think about. Like I think a lot of things are coping mechanisms for humans to get through this life because this life is not so easy. So it's not cut and dry to say like there's only good and bad. But even the good and bad thinking, the black and white thinking stems from religion. Like, so it's funny because you can be as far away from it as you want. I stopped going to church, it's 13 years ago now. And I'm not saying that like a badge of honor, but I keep track of it because every year I thought, okay, I'm far enough away. I should be healed or I should be good now. I shouldn't think these things anymore. And yet there's still programming that I have to pull into the light and ask myself these same questions, So it never really goes away. It just changes. And your ability to stand on your own 2 feet, you just get stronger doing that over time.
Yeah, I think also people should embrace change. I think that's something that you were highlighting that is just so, like, beautiful. Like, the only thing that you could depend on in this world is things are going to change, right? And so I think, embracing that and, like, also having the support system to, like, allow yourself to explore change is definitely, like,
Yes.
fully support that, you know? So,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
for calling that out. That's huge. Yeah, I'm like, embrace change. It's so true because so many times we're thrown off by change and we want everything to just stay still and stay the same. But the reality is, things will always keep changing. Good things end, mediocre things end, bad things end, right? Like nothing lasts forever. So it's just a matter of enjoying it in the present moment or gritting your teeth and bearing it in the present moment because eventually it will come to an end and you'll have like the next thing to worry about or whatever the case is. And we see this in nature all the time. Like nature's always changing. So if you're ever thinking, oh, the next 20 years of my life are going to look X, Y, and Z way, probably not. And it's okay. We'll get through it. Like you said, just have that good support community in your life who you can talk to who are like-minded and if you want to grow, find people who want to grow. If you want to stay the same, find people who want to stay the same. Like that's all you need to do.
100%. And I feel like with even good things, they need to have an end. Like,
Yeah.
so that it's a good thing, right? Like, I feel like you need to experience the bad in order to, like, discover the good, and I feel that's so, like, to my core. Like, Mormonism, my mission, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Like, that is another episode if you decide to invite me back, but,
Yeah. You're
you know,
more than welcome to come back. I love that.
yeah, but, yeah, just, like, random, like, the hardest things that I'm like, I actively put myself through these experiences, and, like, it was up to me in order to, like, pick myself back up and, like, make moves, for example, to Florida and, like, figure out, like, my, like, way of life here or, like, other places that, I've decided to move to. So,
Mhm.
surrounding myself with, like, really good people and, like, not just relying on, like, quote, unquote, like, old best friends just because, like, that's who they were and are. Like,
Right.
just
Right.
because you have, like, history with someone doesn't mean that they're always gonna have your back. And so,
Yeah.
it's just how they show up in the moment, and, I've had my falling out with, like, some friends, but I've also had, like, really good comebacks with friends, and it's like, because we experienced the lowest of low, now I know, okay, this person, because we got back together, is my ride or die. Like, they are here for me, they're going to fight for me, like, they see me at my low, they see me at my high, like, they know me as a person, like, all around. So, and you need those people, right? You need those people that have seen you from rock bottom to on top of the world.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a matter of bringing them into that space with you and that discomfort, that messiness, and letting them see you, so that they can really be there for you. If you hold everyone at arm's length, you're never actually gonna know who's in your corner or not because people are probably just benefiting from being in your orbit, but they're not necessarily showing up for you, in good times and in bad. So you were talking about like good things have to come to an end or like you almost want them to come to an end sometimes so that you know that they're good. And I think about how if things don't come to a natural end that you have to accept, that's when we tend to self sabotage, right? Because we're creating an artificial end because things just can't be so good all the time forever. We start poking holes in it. Our brain doesn't believe it. It seems like too good to be true. And so either you're going to have a natural, like, ebb and flow, right? Up and down, or you're going to have an artificial one. But either way, nothing lasts forever. Like, we are just not meant to be in a high emotional state all the time because then we don't have any balance and we have no contrast either. So we can't even tell what's good and what's bad if we don't let them stand alone from each other.
I guess that's a really good point. I relate to that a lot, like the self-sabotage thing, because it's just like, "Oh, I wasn't good enough. That couldn't last, like, a little bit longer," or, "I could have done something else differently to, like, divert the situation." A quote that's coming to my mind, and this is, like, from my, like, most favorite mentors in my life, like, she's one of the best people that I've ever met, and she she and I, like, relate a lot. Like, she was, my first, like, not boss, but she was, like, one of the big people in my job that, after college, like, you're kind of green, you're like, "I'll do anything, like, I'll get coffee. What do you guys want?" Like,
Yeah.
that type of, like, environment, but, they never treated me as, like, the intern, but she just saw a lot in me, and, she told me that, "You know what, Spencer, like, for people like us, it's so hard to be hard on ourselves, but the thing that you need to remember is know your worth and add tax," right? And so,
Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah, and that really stuck to me because I'm like, "Oh, shoot," like, I feel like I'm a confident person, like, I'm not self-conscious. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm really, like, self-conscious about a lot of things, but I think just knowing myself as a person and, like, a good person, like, that is something that I am starting to find, not a lot of people like me exist, right? Like, people build people up and, like, that search for the people that are like, "Hey, like, that person is way behind, like, I'm gonna wait for them because, I don't want them to be alone." The type of person that I am of just, like,
I know. You do that.
kind of annoying, but, like, I just, like, I never want someone to be feel left out, you know?
Yeah. No, and I wanna commend you for that because it's almost like Switzerland's neutrality where they're just waiting for everyone to catch up and find peace on earth, and we're just still out here not doing that, but there you are, like, somehow, just having this baseline and seeing things in such a different way, and I can't actually comprehend it, it's like a mystery to me how you do that, but I appreciate it about you.
Oh, you're so sweet. I think it comes from being left out all the time or, like,
Interesting,
feeling like an
okay.
outsider, I never want someone in, like, especially in a group setting to be like, "Oh, like, I felt awkward, like, meeting that group." I wanna be like, "No, like, you're with us, like, even though I just met you, like, you're gonna hang out with us for, like, the next 20 minutes until, like, you find your groove and flow. Then it's up to you if, like, you wanna stay or if you wanna leave," you know?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it just
Beautiful.
comes from a place of, I think, oh, man, this is, like, triggering of just, like, my
Yeah.
experience in California where I just felt so alone, and I wish
Yeah.
someone was there to just be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about Spencer specifically, like, invite him to the fold, like, let's hang out, let's do something," and that would have gone a long way. So I never want someone, especially if I'm, like, consciously outside and outside touching grass, as the kids would say, right? Um, and there's just someone just, like, there and, they need a hand or they need help or they need whatever, a drink, whatever. Like, I never wanna turn my back to a random act of kindness, So that's kind of the life that I choose and want to live?
That's so beautiful. Thank you for explaining that. It's funny, I've never directly asked you, and now we're in a podcast format. And I'm like, so tell me about how you do that. But I love that you could put words to it. And I've definitely felt left out a million times, but also like maybe have made people feel left out. I mean, that's totally possible too. And hopefully, like, go out of my way to try to be inclusive as I get older. We do better with when we know better and all of that. But what comes to mind is the fact that this has been studied, but people who, let's say, get abused or left out chronically,
Yeah,
something happens inside, right? Where you either never want to feel that again or you never want anyone else to feel that again. So in your case, it sounds like the latter. Like you don't want anyone to feel that because you felt that and you know what that feels like. But then there's the former where this protective shell just comes around you and you just never want to feel it again. So even if you're making other people feel how you felt, as long as you feel okay, you're good. And I'm saying you, but it's just like the human response. And again, a lot of this happens early in childhood, and then we're left to live the rest of our lives trying to figure out what's going on with us.
yeah. I think that's, like, totally true, and I think that's, like, kind of where my first quote kind of comes from is, like, you have to know your worth. Like, the world doesn't owe you anything, but you do owe it to the world to not be a dick, right? So
Facts.
I think,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not a licensed professional, nor do I ever want to be of just, like, giving advice, but this is just, like, my Spencerism, if you will.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can choose to be hard to the world and just, like, not want to open yourself up to any connections, whatever. That is a totally okay response. Way that I live my life is, like, the way that you're rich in life is through connections, through friendships, through experiences, through, the stuff that you can't necessarily take from this world after you die. And I think
Yeah.
just, like, living that life and, like, also, like, being a nice person, it doesn't cost money to be a nice person, right?
Right. Right.
It just, like, it goes a long way, and I feel like you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So I think, if there's anything that, religion has taught me that I still carry with this day to this day is, like, just be kind to people that are, like, actively struggling, like, vocally, but also, like, internally struggling. Like, you never know what someone's going through, and it's easy to pass judgment on just a bad situation, but it's harder too when, like, the person, like, maybe they had a bad day, but they don't wanna talk to anyone about it? So
Yeah.
it's in those moments that I'm like, "Okay, I never wanna be the reason someone had a really bad day or, like, the tipping point," because that just imagine that, like, that'd feel awful for
I
any
know.
like
Yeah.
as tacky as it is, like, 13 Reasons Why, like, there were literally 13 people that did, like, Hannah Baker, and not to get all, like, creepy and sore about it, but it's just like that body of work was, like, so beautiful to me because it just, like, taught me that if they just stopped at number 12, like, she would have not ended her life, and I think everyone in life should go to, like, be like, "I'm gonna be reason number 1 that someone had a really good day today?" So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know
Wow.
how we got on this topic, but it's kind of
No, but I love it. I love it. And I also really appreciate hearing your thought process because my brain has just kind of lumped those things into categories of like people pleasing or manipulation. So to hear like the other side of it and to understand it's from a place of kindness, it's from a place of empathy, like, you don't know someone's story, so you're just trying to put your best foot forward, but you're not necessarily expecting something in return, and it's not meant to, you know, coerce a different outcome. But, that's you, Spencer. You are so unique. Not everyone is like you who does these things and says the things you say. So I just want to caveat, like, there are some things that you're saying, which the way you're saying them and who you are, I know it's authentic and genuine. And then I've also heard other people say similar things. And I'm like, but you're not using those from a kind place. Like, you're using that to get your agenda met. And that's where I think a lot of distrust happens. And relationships are so nuanced. And it's hard sometimes to manage them in different areas of life.
And that's the thing, like, it serves my purpose, my agenda, but having this mindset is definitely not for everyone. So I'm not saying, like, everyone should think like me because that would be actually insanity and a bunch of psychopaths would
I know
spawn.
a bunch of Spencers would be crazy, but also kind of fun.
No, that would actually be insane. But I
Yeah.
think, like, if there's anything that I've learned, especially, like, moving from LA to here, it's just, like, you have all the power to control your life, and it's
Yeah.
never too late to start over, and it's also never too late to be a nice person. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, I think, like, that's something that I actually tested out here of just, like, starting brand new, like, who is the new Spencer identity? Like, what is that person? And thankfully, like, I vibe with people like you who just, like, welcome me with open arms, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I love you, like, I see you,
Yeah.
I want to be close to you, I want you in my orbit, I'm rooting for you, like, all these different things where friends really should do for each other, and, you're helping me experience that.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Yeah, I love like just accepting people how they are, and I don't want to try to change or control them. And I think we should all do that, and people should do that for me too. I
Exactly.
know, I know people love to try to rein me in, but good luck. Sorry. Just kidding. But I did want to, before we wrap, there's something that I wanted to just give a plug for you and your friend. The video you guys made. If in case anyone's like following along this far and they want to know more about you, they need to look up this video, this Disney video that your
Oh my
friend
god.
did. She's a blogger, but you like joined her for or vlogger, but you joined her for this experience. And I watched the whole thing. It's like maybe 8 or 11 minutes long. And I just loved it. I mean, you were so in your element. I was like, wow, wow, why have we never done that? Like, that's so fun to just like vlog through the day and everything. But also, you were so thoughtful through the theme parks of like creating a choose your own adventure activity, for her of what ride do you want to go on? What store do you want to go on? What activity do you want to do? What food do you want to eat? It was so thoughtful, so creative, so whimsical. And I just love this about you. Like, as dark as life could have been in the past, you are so light and airy and bright and such a breath of fresh air. Like, and you just continue to be that way. I can't imagine a world where you're not that version of you, no matter what's going on.
Oh my god, that's so sweet. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, Macy, she's my girl, she's an amazing person. Just the
What's
story.
your handle? Let's go.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments, but,
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments.
yeah, but, the way that came about was actually she's ever since we met on our college program back in 2017, and she's like, "My ideal date is to go on a date in Epcot." Like, I've never had someone ask me on a date at Epcot, and I was just like, finally, she was
She
here
said
for.
this. Oh, no, she didn't say it in 2017. You just met her in 2017.
No, she did. She's been, like, saying.
Really? Wow, almost 10 years later. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, I've kinda kept tabs on it, and, I was kind of like we did have, like, a lot of time together when we were in our college program, but I was just like, "One day I'm gonna, like," and I had no money, so let's be
Yeah, who
honest, right?
does?
Yeah.
College.
So I was just like, "One day I'm gonna ask this girl out on a date because like, she deserves the world," and, she visited me during Valentine's Day, and, I was just like, "This is the perfect moment to, like, plan the perfect date." And yeah, like, I love doing that stuff for people. Like, it just meant the world to her, and she was like such a good sport about it. And I was like really excited to show her and surprise her, and just we'll have her date, Katrina. Like
I
we'll
know, I
plan
can't wait. I mean, you
it.
set the bar so high, I have no expectations, but I'm also like,
Yeah.
eh, to like, for you to do that, I mean, listen, again, you don't have to do anything for me. I love it. I love that we even had that chat about it, but it's like the most thoughtful, like truly friendship, intimate wise, right? Like you guys know each other so well. And it was so organic and beautiful. And she appreciated and welcomed it so well. Even when she got something and like maybe it wasn't what she thought she wanted or it wasn't what you wanted her to get, like you
Yeah.
still flowed with it and you stuck to what the card said, and you let them guide you. And I
Yeah.
loved that.
And I think that's like one thing that we should do more of, right? It's like take your friend out on a date. Like a girl should ask a guy out on a date, guy should ask a girl out on a date, guys should ask guys out on a date, just like totally
Yes.
platonically. But
Yes.
I don't think we do enough of that. And
No, and I've seen women doing it more, right? And also we get our nails done together, we go coffee g g we get coffee together, but, like, this is the next level, and I love that it fell on Valentine's Day. I love that you remembered that for so long. That must have meant everything to her, and the best part is hearing your side of things because I watched that video, but I never got any of this backstory, so thank you for sharing
oh,
it.
you're so sweet. Yeah, I loved it. It was like really fun to plan and yeah, we'll plan our date soon. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
think
can't
about it.
wait. It's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. Thank you, Spencer, for being on the show, for sharing so much of your story. It would be amazing to have you come back and double click on like 7 things that we talked about, but I know it's we could always just talk forever. So it's so sweet for you to be here. And is there anything else top of mind before we wrap up today?
No, just thank you for letting me come and, being on this podcast. Like it's fun chatting. It's like talking with a good friend. And it always is, right? But with these types of like engagements, like I always get nervous, like, am I saying the wrong thing? But no, I felt really comfortable. So thank you for having me today and like can't wait to see the episode.
Yes, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for it to air.
Yes.
And you were great. So I love that I was able to make you feel comfortable. So yeah,
Yeah. We
mission
can do
accomplished.
it.
You are my most important listener, and I can't thank you enough for spending your time with me. If this content resonates with you, then hit subscribe. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube by following @ConnectorQueen. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again on the next episode of Becoming You.